that better? Okay. So we're going to have the candidates speak between 3 and 5 minutes. The candidates are free to leave if they have other obligations afterwards. There's not going to be any questions and answers per se unless the candidates have time afterwards and they want to stay and answer your personal questions. Just so everyone knows, this is being filmed. Doug Abe has agreed to film it for us so we can get the word out to the rest of the community, so they'll be the ones that couldn't make it for tonight. I have a couple of ground rules. No shouting from the audience. And if you'll please turn off your cell phones, I'd appreciate that. And what I did was I drew names before I got here, and that's the order that you're going to be in. So we'll keep it moving. I have a timer, so the 5 minutes will ring, and then I'm going to ask you to finish your sentence, and then, because otherwise we won't get everybody through. So I'm grateful that all of you came out. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet the candidates, and that's what this is all about. The first candidate is Sheriff James Gannon.
Thanks so much, Pat, and thank you all for the opportunity to come here. It's nice to have a packed house on a beautiful day here in Rockaway Township. My name is Jim Gannon. I'm the 77th Sheriff of Morris County. I'm very honored to hold that position. My background starts off with my family. My father was a New York City police detective, so I grew up in a family business. I then, raised in Boonton Township, and then married the love of my life, who was a nurse at Morristown Medical Center, Morristown Memorial Hospital at the time. She subsequently died about 9 years ago of multiple sclerosis. But we have a beautiful daughter that's going to be 30, and I have a grandson that's 2.5, and another one on the way for July 24th, a girl. So important stuff. Let's get the important stuff out of the way first. Right? Family's number one. My professional life started when I was 18. I was a special police officer in Boonton and in Boonton Township, became a regular police officer, then had a great experience for 22 years at the Morris County Prosecutor's Office, where I was in the major crime unit there. For most of my career, I was promoted to Deputy Chief of Investigations. During the last 2.5 years of my career, I was in the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, at Newark Division, in a case involving mainly Newark and New York. Involving the Liberation Tigers of Tommy Lee Long, if you're familiar with that foreign terrorist organization that was in essence dismantled at that time. So, after I retired with 25 years of service, I went on to Novartis, which is an international pharmaceutical company, as you're aware, and I was promoted up the chairs to be the global head of security risk. My portfolio mainly involved due diligence, extremism risk, and counterfeiting globally. About 1,000 sites around the world and a presence in over 150 countries. So I had opportunity to travel the world and see some interesting things, and also learn a business perspective. So I have that government side and then that business side that I think helps me in my current role as your Morris County Sheriff. I've been in office my 3rd year right now, and I am running for re-election. And I would appreciate your vote, both in June and November. What are we doing in the Morris County Prosecutor's Office? Just to let you know what the Morris County Prosecutor's Office is an organization of roughly 325 employees right now. We trimmed the employee headcount down a little bit to satisfy contracts, and we moved the strength down a little bit so that we could take those monies and distribute them to the rank and file and have better retention, which we're doing. The responsibilities of the sheriff are mandated in the Constitution, some of them in the state's Constitution. So we're involved in all different types of things, such as, writs of execution and writs of replevin and those types of things when people don't pay someone, with regards to their mortgage or whatever the case may be. So we do those types of things. We do evictions, which is some of the sad work that we do on that side. But we also run the Morris County Correctional Facility, which is a beautiful bed and breakfast, 524 beds, right, in Morris Township. Over there, right now, about 200 in capacity right now. As a result of criminal justice reform, there's less people in the correctional facility right now. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. But we also have responsibilities, shared service arrangements throughout Morris County with things like CSI, the Crime Scene Investigation Section, the Bomb Squad, K9, and the SWAT team. We call CERT, the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. So in Rockaway Township, which is an excellent police department, they have people that can do those responsibilities, but we would supplement them out there in the field at no cost to the taxpayer, direct cost to the taxpayer. You know, so what we're doing since I took over on January 2nd, 2017 is we've been concentrating on issues with regards to addiction and mental health and issues with regards to terrorism and planning for those types of matters. And I'll explain what we're doing. I don't know if you've heard, we have a vehicle called Hope One. Hope One is a mobile addiction recovery vehicle that goes out into the community and helps people with addiction and mental health issues. We've made contact with nearly 7,000 people so far that had family members, friends, and colleagues that needed some type of support with regards to their addiction or issues of mental health. We've placed over 220 people directly into programs. Some of those placements were a direct result of what we call Operation Helping Hand, where arrests are made when people buy drugs. Arrests are made, and then the prosecutor gives authority to place people into some type of program in lieu of placing them into jail. We also train people in the community in the use of Narcan. Narcan, naloxone, is the antidote for opioid overdose. We train people in the community, give it to them free, off a grant. So that's been working out real well. We've turned on, since Hope One Morris started, that's the original one, just like Ron John, the original. We've turned on Atlantic City through the Atlantic County Sheriff, Monmouth County through the Monmouth County Sheriff, the City of Newark, which is obviously a big operation through the Department of Public Safety there in the City of Newark and Mayor Ross Baraka. And we've turned on a lot of other programs around the state and more to come. We have a Hope Wing at the Morris County Correctional Facility.
That was your time limit.
Okay. Well, I asked for your vote in June and November. Thank you very much. If you need anything, I'm the Morris County Sheriff.
Our next speaker is going to be Michael Fujio. Michael is running for Rockaway Township Mayor.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's great to see community involvement, and that's what Rockaway is all about. Can you hear me? Yeah. A little bit better? Good? Raise your hand in the back if you can hear me. Okay. Community involvement is important. It's great to see that there's such a wonderful turnout here tonight. Every 4 years in Rockaway Township, you get to meet your candidates. If we have a candidates night. 5 minutes is very, very difficult to condense someone's service in our town, especially someone like myself. I have been involved in Rockaway. I've lived in Rockaway Township for 28 years. I'm married. I have 2 children. My wife, Michelle, is a lifelong resident, and I want to start off saying that I love our community. How I got started in community service is I got married, I came to Rockaway, I had a son named Michael. Michael is disabled, and I wanted to make things better in the educational field, in the school system, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth on the Board of Education. Some 18 years ago, I was on the Board of Education, and I focused on making our special education programs better. Now, how did I do that? You're here tonight to meet me. It's too loud. Good? Too slow? Good? High? Too high. I'm not an AV guy. So I'm going to back up a minute. I started off in the educational field with the Board of Education, and I wanted to make things better. And you get to meet your candidates every 4 years, like I said, and you want to know what they're about. And it is hard to put myself into 5 minutes of time, a 20 plus year career or service to Rockaway Township. So what I did when I started on the Board of Education, what are the things that I did? What were the accomplishments? Because that's what you're here for tonight, to see what the accomplishments of your candidates are and which direction that they want to move the town in. One of the things that I focused on in my 12 years on the Board of Education was bringing an autistic program to Rockaway Township. How did that reduce our taxes? How did that make us, the school system, more viable? Education is 67%, 65 to 67% of your taxes go to the school board. So a lot of people don't know that. When I speak to them about the municipal portion and I speak to them about the school portion, they don't know. They just look at the tax bill as one entity. 67%, 65, 67% of your taxes go to education. So what did I do when I was on the school board? I try to keep students in-house. Special education programs are expensive. $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. What we try to do is we started an autistic program. We trained people in ABA. We got in-house trainers. We got teachers trained in that area so we could keep our students in-house. That was something that a student that's trained in-house, that is taken care of in-house, a child with special needs, a bill goes from $60,000, $50,000, $60,000, sometimes more, down to $30,000. Huge savings. Another such initiative was we got a behaviorist. We were sending our students out who needed to be evaluated to behaviorists. Kids with unique problems, behavioral issues, we had that brought in-house, and that person is still here today serving Rockaway Township. A couple other initiatives, a couple other things that I was involved in over the years as on the sideline that is all based on community involvement, volunteerism. I think that it's very important to be a volunteer in your community if you want to serve in public office. That's just my opinion. I think it's a good place to start, to cut your teeth, to show that you are committed to your community. We formed Unico a few years back, a chapter in Rockaway Township. I'm one of the original founding members. What does Unico do? We hold a motorcycle run every year. We hold a beefsteak. And that the monies that are raised go directly to St. Jude's Hospital, Camp Marcella, Camp for the Blind, which is here in Rockaway, one of our gems. And it goes to other initiatives, to other organizations that Unico deems worthy. We have how do we help our kids in town with that organization? We hand out scholarships. On June 3rd, we're going to be presenting 2 scholarships to 2 students. It's going to help them defray some of the costs. I'm part of the Italian American Police Society, which I'm very, very proud of. It's one of the largest fraternal organizations in New Jersey. There's over 5,000 members. What does the Italian American Police Society do? They deal with fundraising for Special Olympics. We're one of the largest fundraisers. And you're going to hear from our president, William Chavella, in a little bit. I'm sure he'll touch upon that organization a little bit. So those are some of the initiatives that we do. Okay. I wish I had more time. Like I said, it's very hard to condense 20 plus years of service into 5 minutes. I cannot stay. I have to go to a planning board meeting tonight. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you guys have my email, you have my phone number. If you want to meet with me one-on-one before the election, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you for your time.
Is Adam Selberg. He's running for Rockaway Township at-large council candidate.
Hi, everyone. Wow, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Thank you so much for coming out. I have a question for everybody. I was just hoping to see a show of hands. How many people here have been in Rockaway Township for more than 30 years? 40 years? 50 years? Robin will go to 100 years.
Rob's back here too.
You know, we all could have gone anywhere, but we stayed in Rockaway Township. We love it here. Our roots are here. Our history is here. And that's really one of the main reasons that I'm standing up here now is I love this town. I was born in Birchwood, product of Birchwood, Copeland, and Knowles. where I met my wife. In fact, 29 years ago today, we were married. It was our anniversary. We moved away for a little while, but I raised my daughter, my niece and nephew after the passing of Lisa's sister. We raised them in Rockaway Township. We came back home because we loved it here and we want to make it great. Year and a half ago, I probably would have told you this is not somewhere that I would have been. But as I started going back to meetings, and of course with the passing of our beloved mayor, Mike Datchison, didn't like the direction that the town was going in, and I felt that it was time to do something. I had the skills through my day job. I'm a sales manager, been in leadership for the last 19 years. And I felt, you know what, I don't want to be the person complaining on the side. I need to step up and make a change. Kind of started with interim mayor, which was interesting. But the opportunity to be your interim mayor gave me an opportunity to see one thing, and that was the business of government, which is the business of business. That we can do things better. We could be more efficient. We could scrutinize the dollars. We could maintain the issues, and we could have a decent, positive government that's for you. Not for the politicians, but for you. And that's what I found out very quickly. I like to think that I left the township in a little better shape when Mayor Fujio took over. But at that point, I knew that the skills that I honed over the last 30 years, that the ability to work with my counterparts down at the municipal building told me that this is what I need to do for the town. So that's what led me here. Why me as council at large? Some things that I want to accomplish if I'm lucky enough to be voted for in both June and November. First off, a return of civility. This is your government. That municipal building is yours. We want you to come there and we want you to be comfortable, to know that your best interests are at heart. So I think that first off, we need to maintain what no other, any board would expect, and shouldn't be any less than in our municipality. I also want to see more transparency. And what I mean by transparency, as I talk to residents, myself included before I got involved, a lot of folks really don't know what goes on. And I want to see more participation from the municipality with the residents. What do we do at the council meetings? What do we do at the planning board meetings? I want to see open forums where you have an opportunity to speak to us candidly, maybe in a setting just like this, to ask the mayor questions, the council members questions. What goes on? What could we tell you that affects you on a day-to-day basis? I think it's very important that we have this opportunity. More people working on their homes, do you truly know how to go through the process of getting permits, how to follow the law, what do you need to know? I want to see workshops for that. I want to see things that are going to help residents on a day-to-day basis. The reality is, we know it's not a cheap place to live. But also the reality is things cost money. But what I do promise you, and I know this is our entire Rockaway First team, is we want to scrutinize every dollar that's spent. We want to absolutely be sure that you get value for what you're paying. I think we can do a better job at that. And I want to see that the dollars that you spend, you're going to see the return. You're going to see something for the money that you're spending. Rockaway Township is unique that we don't have a main street. We don't have a heavy merchant presence. And that's a shame, so it makes it tough with ratables. But for the merchants that we do have, I want to make sure that we're maximizing their ability to grow and to profit. So are the ordinances holding them back? Are there things we could be doing for our merchants, not only for them, but to possibly attract more? We are a great town. We have, the mall does good and bad for us, but the bottom line is we are an attraction that brings in people from all over. I don't want to see them going to other towns for weekend venues. I don't want to see them going to festivals and concerts in other places. I want to bring that money here. I want to give them a reason to come here. How? I'll work with the council on that. But I think we have a lot of opportunity that honestly I think is being squandered, that maybe just hasn't been addressed to the best way. So these are some of the things I want to do. I want to make it a destination. I also want to see our property values stabilized. We're in a rough patch right now, there's no question about it. I've spoken to realtors, and yeah, there is a little bit of a gray cloud over us now. Good strong wind will blow that right out, and that can happen very quickly in June. And finally, I think that we need to really just take a look at the dollars that we're bringing in, and efficiencies in the municipality. So, thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Thompson, who's running for Surrogate.
Thank you all for having me. I have 3 minutes to explain what a surrogate is, explain why I'm the best candidate for the job. But first, I want to start with a story. It's about this guy named Cecil Harris. And Cecil was a farmer. He lived with his wife. They didn't have kids. And one day, Cecil went out, put on his overalls, got in his tractor, he headed out to his field. He misjudged a turn. The tire caught in a ditch, fell over onto him, crushed him under it. Neighbors came by with another tractor. They eventually got the tractor off of him, got him to the hospital, and unfortunately he died. And Pat's saying, don't you know you're supposed to start out with a joke? Why am I talking about Cecil? Because the neighbors, after they got the tractor off of him, they noticed that in the fender of the tractor, Cecil had taken his penknife and he had scratched into the fender. If I don't get out of this mess, the farm goes to my wife. And that was significant. That literally saved the farm. Because this story is a true story. It didn't take place in New Jersey. But if you die without a will and you don't have kids, a piece of your property would go to your parents, and his wife would have had to sell the farm. And so that fender brought into the local surrogate's court literally saved the farm. What is the surrogate? Morris County has a surrogate like all 21 other counties. The surrogate is a constitutional officer that's primarily charged with the administration of decedent's estates. So if you die with a will, your chosen executor brings the will to the surrogate's court and you're appointed as your executor. Or if you don't have a will, your administrator is appointed by the surrogate's court. So it's a constitutional officer. It goes back, it's really a sacred piece of government. It goes back over 400 years to England. And we had our first royal governor in New Jersey. The ability to probate wills came from a grant from the Archbishop of London. So why am I qualified to do this job? Well, I've been a trust and estates attorney for over 20 years. I've written over 1,000 wills and trusts. I've helped over 500 families navigate the probate process, save taxes, make sure the will was respected. I've helped families deal with guardianships when a parent may be losing capacity, when a child is turning 18. You may not know, but if a child is disabled and they turn 18, the parent doesn't have the ability to speak to their doctor or speak to their school on the child's behalf. It has to go through the surrogate's court. So I've been doing this job for over 20 years. I'm from Meadow Township. My wife is also a trust and estates attorney. Our son is 11. He's in the middle school there in Meadow Township. I'm from New Jersey, but I was born in Alabama. I was born in Redstone Arsenal and the Army Hospital there. And I was born in, and my mom still has the bill, $7.42 from birth. The reason I was born in an Army hospital is because my father joined the Army during the Vietnam War. And he didn't join because he was necessarily so gung-ho on the war. He joined because he likely would have been drafted. He wanted to have some control over his life. And it was a situation where he didn't have enough money that he could have gone to college and got a deferment. He couldn't have had a doctor say he had bone spurs, so he joined and he did service. My father's experience has given me a sense of skepticism of government. That when people go to, Vietnam, it was a democratic war. It was put forth by people perhaps with good intentions, and step by step, we lost our way. And so this skepticism of government has left me to the point now where we need people there with the right intentions. If we have people there with the wrong intentions, we're going to have the problems we have today in Trenton and Washington. So I'm running for Morris County Surrogate. So when you may be going through one of the worst days of your life, you go through the doors in Morristown, the surrogate's office, you know the surrogate's going to be there for the right reason. And it's going to be the best trained surrogate in the state, and the staff is going to be there to serve you. And that's really what we should demand at all levels of government, from county dog catcher to the highest levels in Washington. That's why I'm running. If you want to find out more about me, thompsonformorris.com, and I would appreciate your vote in November. Thank you.
Next candidate is Joseph Jackson, who's running for Rockaway Township Council at Large.
Thank you. I know if the podium falls on me, I'm going to carve "The Farm Goes to My Wife." I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. For those of you who know me, my name's Joe Jackson. My wife and I, Suzanne, have lived in Rockaway Township for about 17 years now. We've raised all three of our children here. They've all gone through the school system here. They've all gone to Morris Hills. Two of them have graduated. When you talk about, service and community service, my entire family has been involved in supporting the Township of Rockaway for the past 17 years. I was a youth sports coach for about 15 to 20 years in different sports: soccer, baseball, softball, football. I ran the Rockets football. I'm talking loud here because the people in the back are asking me to talk loud. I'm not yelling at anybody. I ran the football program for several years. I came in at a time where there was a major issue that occurred there and took over the program. I was asked to take it over. I was a member of the Board of Ed for about 7 years. I was, we had a superintendent pass away, and a board member moved, and they were looking for another position. I took it as an opportunity to contribute to Rockaway Township. I've been a member of the Citizens Rec Committee. I'm a current Meals on Wheels driver, so I deliver meals to people in need in Rockaway Township. All my children have done volunteer work in Rockaway Township. My wife's done volunteer work in Rockaway Township. We love this community. We've lived here 17 years. My wife is actually a Morris Hills graduate from high school, so she's been in the area for most of her life. I'll touch on some of my accomplishments on the Board of Ed. I helped negotiate one of the teachers' contracts a long time ago. That was a very meaningful contract, because we did get some concessions around benefits and health care that took a long time to get negotiated. I was a member of the Finance Committee on the Board of Ed. So I would review the bills every month. I would review the budget when it came in. I signed all the checks. I was a member of an interview committee when we had to hire another superintendent. So I say all that because that stuff's important. Understanding how a municipal organization or a public body works and how the finances work are important in a township like this, the size that we are, and the complexity that we have in this township. And so I bring that to the table. I was also an auditor for most of my career. I'm currently operations manager at ADP. I've been there for 13 years, but I was an auditor for about 15 years of my career. So I understand finance, I understand numbers. Adam was talking about making better use of our dollars. I certainly think I could contribute to that, but more than anything, I think I bring to the table, I'm a person of principle and a person of character. And I'll just tell a quick story. I don't know how much time I left, but when I was coaching in the Rockets, we had a practice on a Friday night, and I was walking up from DBO, and there were games going on. And as I was coming up, I don't know if you know how the football field's laid out, the dugouts, the cheerleaders sometimes leave their bags in the dugouts, and there was a cheerleader that left their bag there, probably a 9-year-old girl. She's walking behind the dugout, nobody around, she didn't know I was there, and the national anthem came on. Nobody could see her. She was behind. That girl stopped and dropped her bag and got in her little cheerleader stance for the national anthem. And that's what character is. It's what you do when nobody's around. What you do when nobody's watching you, or at least you think nobody's watching you. And I bring that to the table. I'm a person of character, I'm a person of principle. I'm not gonna vote yes because somebody voted no. I'm not gonna vote yes because somebody voted yes. I'm gonna vote yes because I think it's the right thing to do for Rockaway Township. And we gotta get more of that. We have to start moving our township forward and going in the right direction. Anybody can feel free to reach out to me. If you want to talk afterwards, I'll hang out a little bit. But before I wrap up, I just wanted to say, for those of you who volunteer and are do services for other people, especially to the level like I've done, your family support is so important to you. And I want to thank my wife, Suzanne, who's always supported me through the years, through all this. When you come home from a town council meeting at 2 in the morning and you're kind of wired, and she's got to get up for work the next morning, and you know what? She sits up and listens to me for an hour. Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. And, I will be around if anybody has any questions. I just really wanted to go through that quick, so thanks, Pat. Thanks, everybody.
Next candidate is Amy Colas, running for Rockaway Township candidate, council at large.
Hi, everybody. It was a beautiful weekend, right? Guess where I was the whole time? At the lake in White Meadow, on my boat, my used pontoon boat I bought last year, and I love it here. I grew up in White Meadow. My parents met here in 1951 when they were kids, and they got married here, and we've lived here our whole lives. I love this town. This town prepared me, its schools prepared me to get into the University of North Carolina. And then I went to grad school at Georgia State and got my MBA and my Master's of Health Administration. And then after all that, I moved back, and here I am. I bought a house in the township and spent a lot of time in White Meadow and all over the township. And, you know, let me just read a little quote. "A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided." Famous quote by Abraham Lincoln. And lately it seems like our whole government is divided, and even within the town. So really my goal of running is just to help unite this town again. Help us to all be together. And like Joe said, listen to the questions, I'm gonna need a drink, and, and think about your answer. Thank you. The issues will be different. Excuse me. The issues will be different no matter how, the different stages of life that you're in. When you're young and you're raising children, certain things are important like sports and the schools, and taxes will be, for you, important that way. As you get older and your kids are gone and you're a senior citizen, taxes will be a little different to you, but basically, they're all taxes that you're gonna wanna pay if their services are good. People don't mind paying if their services are good. Basically, we want to make our taxes work for us efficiently, and that's what we can do. We don't need frivolous lawsuits because we're all together. The town is what matters. When I joined I'm a member of the rec committee, and everybody is all different there, but we care about the fields, we care about the kids, we care about the sports and the lake. That's what it's about. So I think that the reason I'm qualified is because I love it here. I came back here. My parents loved it here. My grandmother tells me about when they walk through the woods picking their lot at the lake, and we're still there. So I just want it to really prosper, and we know it's important as people. It's about us as people, not politics. So I hope you will vote for me, and thank you very much.
Before I introduce the next candidate, I have something to read from the Freeholders Mars Team 2019, because unfortunately they had many obligations tonight. It says, Doug Cabana, Tom Mastriano, and Kathy DiFilippo are currently sitting freeholders running for re-election. They have a proven track record of passing fiscally responsible budgets and reducing our county debt by over $53 million so far. Morris County is proud to have a AAA rating, and there are over 3,000 counties in the U.S. Morris County is in the top 1% with the AAA rating. The opponents want to compare them to Passaic County because they say Passaic County is having a zero tax increase. This group has delivered 3 years of no tax increases in Morris County. and Passaic County is the highest tax county in the state, in contrast to Morris County, who has the third lowest taxes. It has always been our focus to maintain the quality of life that we have come to enjoy in Morris County by doubling the amount of county roads paved, enhancing our beautiful parks, trails, and lakes, and keeping Morris County safe and secure. Our team is focused on economic development and shared service to reduce the tax burden of our residents. Economic development is about bringing businesses to our county, but also very much about bringing people to Morris County for shopping, recreation, visiting historical sites, and enjoying the arts, dining, and spending their money here. Morris County provides the 9/11 services to many of our municipalities and also offers health department services to municipalities. Our county also provides shared services to a number of counties for a fee. An example of a new contract with Sussex County to house their female inmates in our county jail. We also share our medical examiner and juvenile detention center with surrounding counties, again for a fee. Team Morris is also proud of our accomplishments that maintain services and programs and introducing new ones to combat the opioid epidemic and bringing county services on the road to the far corners of Morris County. If anyone wants to review any, they can go to the Team Morris 2019 Facebook page to learn more about them. The next candidate is William Chabella.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. I know that most of the interest in this room is for the local election, but I appreciate you inviting me to come talk about my vision for the Morris County Sheriff. So I'm not a stranger to Rockaway Township. We've lived here over 20 years. I was honored to be a councilman at large in Rockaway Township with John D. Maria, rest his soul, Joe O'Connor, and now Judge Lou Susi, then Mayor. I've enjoyed community service. When I moved here, I started to get involved as a volunteer in a number of different ways. I was a director of the PAL in Rockaway Township. I was your Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator in Rockaway Township on 9/11, and I have a track record of effective municipal management. So I come from Bergen County. I was not raised in Morris County. I'm not from here 40 years, but I am honored to see those hands go up. I'm from Bergen County, a small town called Leonia. My parents raised me and instilled values in me of hard work and education. I started my career in an unglamorous spot as a New Jersey State Correctional Officer, walking a beat in a state prison. I worked there for 7 years. I went back to school. I was smarter than my parents and didn't go to college right after high school as they wanted me to, and wound up going back as an adult. I went to Caldwell University. I got my Bachelor of Arts. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson, where I got a Master's in Public Administration and a Postmaster's degree in Global Terrorism. I left my career as a correctional officer and went to New Jersey State Parole. That's where I learned the building blocks of reintegrating dangerous criminals back into society to be hopefully effective members of our society, and if not, making sure that the public safety is protected. I left that position. I was honored in 2007 to be the Deputy Chief of Detectives in the Morris County Prosecutor's Office by then Prosecutor Robert Bianchi. I was promoted the next year to be the Chief of Detectives, and I had the privilege of serving as the President of the Chief of Detectives Association for New Jersey, of all 21 counties and the State Attorney General's Office. I'm going to try and get through this quick because I know I'm going to beat that timer. I'm going to lay out, obviously, some of my thoughts about where I think the Sheriff's Office should go over the summertime because my election is in November. But I can tell you that in Morris County is a fantastic place to work. People come to Morris County because it is safe. People come to Morris County because it is a place to raise a family. When I was in the prosecutor's office, we cut spending, we increased efficiency in innovative ways, and we reduced the crime in Morris County overall the highest percentage of any other state 2 years in a row, according to the Attorney General's office. That's not something that I did. I'm not going to stand before you and tell you that I am the solution for every problem. The men and women, the detectives, the assistant prosecutors, and the support staff people in the Morris County Prosecutor's Office went to work every day. Some of them not paid a lot of money and worked very hard to make all of you safe. They did the job. It made me look good. I made our county prosecutor, who was a true visionary in terms of crime, successful. I left that position and retired when Prosecutor Bianchi's term ended, and I was asked to join the Morris County Sheriff's Office as an undersheriff for Sheriff Edward Rochford. Unfortunately, he had to go and do the town's business, but that's where I had the opportunity to work with Michael Fujio, your mayor. He was an undersheriff along with me, leading the operations of the Morris County Sheriff's Office. We worked proudly together for 2 years. I left there, and finally, the last position I held in law enforcement, I went back home every day to the Bergen County Sheriff's Office, where I was the Director of Community Policing and Communications for the largest sheriff's office in New Jersey, a county of 72 towns, 1 million people, and a $90+ million operating budget every day, protecting critical infrastructure. I worked there until January, where I left to come and pursue my dream, which is to be the sheriff of Morris County. When I was a child, I always looked up to law enforcement. I looked at law enforcement as leaders and heroes. And I think that today, we need to focus on that even more. It's a challenging job being a police officer. We all see that sometimes things come to light and we're not always painted in the best method. But I can promise you that we'll continue to bring the Morris County Sheriff's Office forward into the coming years. And finally, unrelated to me, I want to thank all of you in the first 2 rows for seeking these offices. They're unglamorous sometimes, local government. I spent many late nights there, and I know almost every one of you in the first 2 rows. And while you may differ with what your beliefs are and how you get there, I believe you all have a passion for the community. And I thank you for your service, and I look forward to seeing you again over the summer, and I hope that I can have your vote in November. Thank you.
Next, we have Howard Kurtz, running for council at large for Rockaway Township.
Can you see me behind us? Good evening. My name is Howard Kurtz, and I'm running for the position of council at large for Rockaway. First, let me give you a little background on me. I moved to Rockaway 15 years ago to be closer for work. So I worked retail management, so I moved around a lot. I go to work, I come home, I go to work, I come home. Shortly after I moved here, I met my wife, Jessica. Isn't she pretty? I truly had one of those when you know instances, and shortly thereafter we got married, and I finally found a home. So we moved in together in Jess's house in the lake. She grew up in White Meadow Lake with her 4 brothers, and her parents all still live in Rockaway. This was my first indoctrination into lake life. I loved it here. So we get to the point where we start thinking about having kids. We end up having twins. We quickly realized our house wasn't big enough, and we were lucky to find a house down Green Pond Road that had plenty of room. So a couple years later, we start talking about maybe having another kid. We had 2. How hard could one baby be? Turns out my wife's really good at this whole baby thing, and we end up with another set of twins. Yeah. When they were 4, Jess and I signed up our older set of twins for soccer. I'm watching this poor coach try to wrangle these 4- and 5-year-old kids, and it was really the first time that I told my wife, I want to do that. I want to volunteer. And it's something that I can do. So since that time, I volunteered as a coach for soccer, t-ball, football, wrestling, Cub Scouts, basketball, where I was recently named the director for the 5-6 boys program. I'm the current director for the Rockaway Rockets football and cheer booster program. I actually took over as soon as Joe and Suzanne left. I oversee activities for over 350 Rocket families. I work tirelessly to make that program one of the premier leagues in Morris County. It was at our year-end Rocket banquet last year that I had the pleasure to meet Mayor Fujio. We spent some time discussing the issues in our community. I was impressed with his understanding of the issues and his desire to just make Rockaway a nice place to live. He had nothing bad to say about what was going on in the town. He gave no indication about the inner turmoil and the roadblocks to getting things done. He didn't have anything bad to say about anybody. As time went on, it became clear to me that the goals of the current council did not align to what I believed to be the best interests of the township and myself. even through all these issues, I was impressed with how Mayor Fujio handled himself. He never made it personal. He never aired his grievances online. He never attacked those that attacked him. He just continued to use the tools he had to push forth the business of the town. He wanted to get everybody aligned and back on track. I've never been politically active. I've had discussions with my wife, and sure, if I was there, I would do this or I would do that. A few months ago, Mayor Fujio called me, and he asked if I would consider running with him and Joe Jackson and Adam Solberg on a ticket together. And here's my chance. How can I keep saying that the town needs to do this and the town needs to do that without taking the opportunity to contribute myself? I was honored, I was humbled. After discussing it with my wife and my family, I was thrilled to say that yes, I would be a candidate. So here we are. Why do I want to be a councilman? Truth is, we have issues. We have problems. As a bunch of residents, we should be able to come to a consensus about how to put the business of the town forward without the negativity, without the name calling, without the bad feelings. We all live here. We can't continue to go to council meetings just anticipating conflict. We can go to a meeting expecting to disagree, but we also need to understand that it's not the disagreement, it's the way that we come to a consensus and move forward. I don't think anybody on the council wants anything but the best for Rockaway Township, but we've got to let personal feelings and perceived slights not get in the way anymore. We need to end it. I believe Mayor Fujio gives us the best chance to bring the town back to where it needs to be. I believe that I, along with Joe Jackson and Adam Solberg, are the right people to support him in doing that. What do I have to gain by being a councilman? I have no business dealings with the town. I have no conflicts of interest. What I have to gain is making this a better place to raise my family. What I have to gain is to make everyone proud to say, I live in Rockaway, and I'm honored to be running for that opportunity. My name is Fritz, and I appreciate your support.
Next is Jonathan Sackett. He's running for mayor of Rockaway Township.
I was up here. Hello. I originally came up here 2 years ago when I ran for council in the 4th Ward. And much bigger audience tonight, and I thank you all for coming. A little bit about myself. I'm a resident of Rockaway Township for 34 years. My family, my parents live in town. I have 4 children. I went through the Rockaway Township school systems, attending Birchwood School, Copeland Middle School, and Moore Schools. I got involved a couple years ago, just by chance. A friend of mine had asked me, have you been, seeing what's going on in town? Any interest in possibly running? So I started attending some meetings.
Mr. Sackett, would you speak up just a little bit?
Sure.
You've got your hand back there.
Hello? Is that better? Okay, thank you. So a couple years ago, a friend of mine had asked me if I'd seen what was going on in town, and I started to attend some meetings. I didn't like what I saw. 34 of my 40 years in life, I've lived in Rockaway. For 6 years, I lived in one town over in Dover. The reason I lived in Dover is when I finished up college, trying to save some money, I didn't have enough money to live in Rockaway. So I saved my money to move back into town, and started getting involved with stuff like some of the guys that said before. I started volunteering. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer coaching soccer, basketball, baseball, football. Still coaching. I actually coached tonight. My daughter was here. She had to leave, but had soccer practice right before this. I love Rockaway Township. I want things to go back to the way they were. At these council meetings, 2, 3 in the morning, Nothing is being accomplished. It's embarrassing being a councilman for 2 years. We haven't really done much to move the town forward. One of the things I've been doing as a councilman, especially this past year with the budget, we put a lot of time in at our budget meetings, analyzing where we can save the residents some money, where we can make your tax dollars be used wisely. And I felt we did a good job with going through the budget this year, but there's still some work ahead as well. I think I've done a great job uniting all the citizens in Rockaway. I'm trying to get people to work together on all parties, not just worried about myself. I try to work with everyone on the council to better Rockaway. A few things I'm going to do when I become mayor. I'm going to end all the lawsuits going on. I will address those immediately when I take office. I hope bring closure to the lawsuits. I will address the infrastructure issues. The constant water main breaks that we're having all the time, I will address that immediately. I will do a full assessment of our outdated town ordinances. I will do a full assessment on all our fields, seeing where we can spend our money wisely to fix our fields, so our children will enjoy playing on our fields. A lot of our fields need a lot of work, but we don't really know what we need to do to fix that. And I will do a full assessment on all the fields on the township so we know what we need to do. When I say new leadership, with my new leadership team, that's exactly what we'll have in Rockaway Township. New leadership from the top all the way down. Okay? People don't realize when you come in, there's a lot of appointments by the mayor. Okay? And now what I will do, I will go through everyone, meet with everyone, all the heads of different departments in town, and we will analyze and decide what we need to do to make sure we're working to make the town better. I plan to have town halls with residents, so a lot of times when the mayor is at the council meeting, he's a guest of the council. I plan to have my own town hall to address the residents in a forum like this, to hear their issues. I'm very proud of my diverse ticket, okay, bringing a lot of diversity to town, and I ask for your vote in June and November. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Laura Fortgang from the 26th, running for the 26th district.
Yes. Hi, my name is Laura Fortgang, like Wolfgang, but Fortgang. I am not from Rockaway. I'm from Verona, but my running mate Christine Clark and I are here. I'm from Verona. The 26th district covers a lot of Morris and some of Essex and one town in Passaic. I'm a mom of 3 kids who are a product of public schools. My son graduated Rutgers yesterday. I'm still weepy. I've been married for 25 years. I am a business owner of a 25-year-old business. I'm an interfaith minister because I'm curious about how people think and how they practice their faith. I am a best-selling author. I have a TED Talk with 1 million views, and I got to be on the Oprah show. We can talk about that later. I'm running for state assembly because I'm sick of staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and worrying. So this is how I'm taking action. New Jersey is in an affordability crisis. That is no secret. In a state that has some of the best pharmaceutical companies, some of them on the verge of literally curing cancer, we have people who can't afford their insulin. In a state that ranks high, always in the nation for our education, we have districts that are going broke because they can't predict what their budget is year to year. And in a state where we have some of the best job opportunities, we have infrastructure that's crumbling and we are having trouble getting to work. These are the things that don't make sense to me. So I'm running to have New Jersey put every penny into something that's going to give a return on its investment. My background is as a consultant to individuals, small business owners, and large organizations like McDonald's, NASA, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the World Bank. These folks call on me when they can't solve a problem on their own. So that means I bring a skill set of listening, getting people to talk to each other, to find the solution that no one could see that perhaps was right in front of them, and to get everybody moving forward. That's a skill set I think we need in Trenton, because we have a lot of gridlock. I want to bring new eyes to the same old problems, and I want to get the people of New Jersey to become the priority again. My priorities are healthcare, education, and taxes. Healthcare costs are making a lot of people very nervous, right? My family, we pay for our own health insurance as two self-employed people. We have a child with a chronic condition. We understand the worries of what's going to happen to our healthcare. Now, healthcare isn't just a kitchen table issue for all of us. It actually affects your school budgets. So if you're worried about your municipal taxes and your school budgets, we have to stabilize our healthcare costs, because those costs are the variable every year that your superintendents cannot predict, so that they know how to put more towards curriculum and worrying less about the healthcare costs of the teachers that we do need to support. So healthcare, education, and taxes, I see them as interrelated. And those are the things that I want to attack. Right here in Morris County, when it comes to education, we have 2/3 of our students being turned away from VOTEC. Now, VOTEC is not the VOTEC of the past, where you have the choice to learn cosmetology or how to fix cars. Now we're talking about those things and IT, organic farming, green jobs, health sciences, the things that really can have our kids get to work immediately or go on to 2 or 4 year programs. I met a young nurse in Parsippany who told me that she saved 2 years off of nursing school by going to Morris County VOTEC. There is money to expand this. I've talked to the education, not the commissioner, but the people in charge of education committees in the assembly. The money was put aside, but it hasn't been put to work. I want to see that get to work. As I said to you, my background is helping people move forward. My last name, Fortgang, in Austrian and Germanic languages actually means forward motion and moving forward. It actually means that. It's who I am, it's my name, it's what I do. And I want to bring solutions to New Jersey. If you vote with your wallet, I promise to take care of every penny. If you vote with your conscience, I'm a person of integrity. So let's move New Jersey forward, and you'll hear from Christine and I tonight. We'll stick around and talk to you. Thank you.
The next candidate is for Rockaway Township candidate at large, John Knapp.
Good evening. Oh, great turnout. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Degnan and the White Meadow POA for hosting this, and Mr. Abe for videotaping it. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. First, a little bit about me. I have not lived here very long. I've lived here only about 5 years. I'm not even as old as Mr. Sahlberg has lived here. I'm sorry to say. I grew up in the Pine Barrens. I'm the son of an educator and an ATF agent, and I'm actually an Eagle Scout. So when I was down in the Pine Barrens, I learned how to basically do a lot of community service. I did a lot of community service. My community service project was actually to improve a cemetery down there, a historical cemetery. I eventually went to college at Ramapo College, where I became president of the Sci-Fi Club, and met my lovely wife Megan, who could not be here tonight, unfortunately. She was watching her son, who will be 2 this weekend. She's one of the reasons why I'm running is actually a lot to do with her, because she's actually a municipal reporter. She's been covering most of Bergen County for 10 years, so for a lot of that time, she would come home and tell me how municipal governments are run, about how council meetings are run, about how I would watch some of these council meetings, and I was kind of interested, like, wow, that's kind of neat how everything flows together. And eventually, when we got married, we started to look for houses. I started working when I got out of college in Parsippany, so I knew I wanted to come to Morris County. I really like this area. And we found Rockaway Township, and we got a home here, actually in White Meadow Lake, right down the road. And one of the things that I started doing, well, actually, let's back up. When I started moving here, my only thought was really to raise a family, and basically just take care of my usual nerdy interests, like arguing who's the best Star Trek captain, or we need to talk later. But basically, I wasn't. I had done a lot of community service in the past, but I was still, really wanted to focus on my family. And then after the 2016 election, I felt obliged to get more involved. And so I started getting involved last year, banging on doors for Mikey Sherrill, and then Mr. Romaine told me, attend a few council meetings. You should really see what's going on locally in your own town. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I did attend a few council meetings, and I was honestly astounded. I did not, again, my wife had talked about, my wife had showed me how municipal governments have been run in all kinds of places in Bergen County, and I was astounded by what I saw. I couldn't believe the lack of civility, the lack of leadership at the top of the council, and I felt obliged to get involved. I felt obliged that, okay, I have to get involved somehow. At the time, I didn't know I would want to run for council. Oh, okay. At the time, I did not want to know I run for council. Better? Awesome. At the time, I did not know I was going to run for council, so instead, I looked at my skill set. I am a software developer, and I became the Tech Advisory Committee. I joined it. I became its chairman earlier this year, and I decided after attending some more meetings that I would run for council at large. What do I bring? Well, as I just mentioned, I am a software developer. I've been doing this for 15 years. And one of the things you have to do very quickly as a software developer is you are presented with problems, different problems every day, all kinds of issues. I mean, yes, they're mostly tech related, but in order to really succeed in this field, you really have to know how to do your own research, how to research the best methods to write your code more efficiently, how to solve a problem efficiently, and no one has all the answers initially, but a key skill set is to be able to know how to go about and find the answers to problems, find the solutions, because that's important. I like to think that, especially after seeing some of the council meetings, it is more important to find solutions for problems.
You can finish your sentence.
It is very important to find solutions for problems as opposed to finding problems to take credit for solutions. That is very important. If anyone wants to talk to me later, I will be around. And thank you very much. And please go out and vote in June and November. Thank you.
Next candidate is Robin Garcia. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to use a microphone. I didn't prepare a speech because, you know what? I won't read the speech anyway, but I am running for council at large. I've been going to a lot of the council meetings, and I pretty much know a lot of things that are going on. I've been in Rockaway Township served for about 54 years now, since July of 1965. My great-grandfather, Decker, was the mayor here for, actually, our longest running mayor for almost 32 years, from 1921 to 1952. He was our mayor here. He ran the local sawmill, the end of Meriden Road and Green Pond Road for many years, which I'm sure a lot of you maybe have visited, had walked through before it was torn down. Maybe got some souvenirs from there, possibly. I see a lot of faces here that I recognize. I know you all think that I'm crazy, but I'm going to try. I'm going to give it the all-girl try. You want me to yell? Oh, am I okay? Okay. I'm a mother of 2 grown daughters. I've been married with my husband for about almost 28 years now. Been living here moved into my house about 2 years ago or so. We traveled around the country a little bit. We lived in Florida for a little while. We lived in Las Vegas. We ended up coming back to New Jersey. We had started up used car dealerships. My husband's in the used car business, so that's what we do. Pretty much semi-retired, but still dabbling in the car business. Learned a lot about dealing with people, dealing with numbers. You name it, I've had to deal with it. I mean, so this could almost be like a walk in the park, kind of dealing with people once in a while. It can be tough dealing with people that can be unhappy, but my main goal was always to make the customers happy so they would come back to us, because that's what put food on the table for our children and educated our children. The only thing that I can say is that I know there's a lot of animosity here. I'm running, I think most of you here know that I'm running on my own. I know you gentlemen know that I'm running on my own, and that was by choice, which was fine. I think that, you know what, it just makes me a stronger woman empowerment to do it on my own. I've also seen, going to the council meetings, that the disruption, I think, is unnecessary. The name calling, I think we all can agree to disagree, is inappropriate, because we're all human beings, and none of us need to be treated like that. None of us. I mean, my main goal is let's get the facts together. Let's get the lawsuits over with. If we have to go get, I know everybody's going to get mad at me when I say this, but if we have to get down to nitty-gritty, getting a new town attorney, start fresh with everything, maybe we can all get along. If we can get people we can get along with, get the Bowlbyville thing fixed. Because if we can collect money from Bowlbyville, then we can afford to do Peterson Field and make it great for the kids and make it the way we want to do it for our children. I mean, I thought about this over the weekend. We need to get the field fixed. This was an issue at the council meeting last Tuesday night about Peterson Field. And then I had thought about it over the weekend. I'm like, you know what? If we could get the collections from Bowlbyville, if we can get the collections from Bowlbyville done, get everything assessed, get the people that owe us money, then maybe we can go forward with that money and put it into the fields for the children. I mean, you know, that's what it was a thought. I mean, there's a lot of other things that are going on. I mean, I don't even know where to start at some points, because it's very upsetting to see. We all live in this town. We all live here. We all want what's best for our children, our seniors, well, everybody. Yeah, what about the senior citizens? What about the senior citizens? You know, I mean, my mom, she's going to be 76. God bless her. She drove all the way up here from Toms River to be here tonight. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. And she's been my biggest supporter and my biggest cheerleader. And I love you, and thank you for always being there for me. Thank you so much. So I know you guys, Joe does the Meals on Wheels for the seniors. Let's all do it. Let's everybody get involved. Let's treat each other with kindness, and let's get down to what the business of the town needs to be done. Honestly, I just don't know what else more to say that you guys haven't already said. I really don't know. I mean, I think some of you have seen me speak. You know, last year when I ran for the council seat that Joe had got, Mike's old seat, that's fine. When Mayor Dodgeston passed away, same thing. I'm doing the best I can with the speeches. Hopefully over time they get better. And please vote.
Next is Tucker Kelly, who's running for mayor of Rockaway Township.
Hello everybody, my name is Tucker Kelly. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you, Mrs. Bigman, as well. All the members that are elected officials and want to be elected officials. It's great seeing you. Well, my name is Tucker Kelly. That is my real first name. I've lived in Rockaway for all my life, for 49 years. I grew up over in the Birchwood section. My mother still lives in the childhood home that I have. I'm married with one child. My daughter is 7. She attends KDM. I've gone through all of the elementary school, Copeland School. I'm a graduate of Morris Knowles, continuing education over at CCM. I'm an entrepreneur in real estate. I have a large background in construction and mechanical trades. I'm also donating my entire salary that I've made as a councilman, council president, And if I am to be elected as mayor, I'll be doing the same. I do that, I give it to the library, which was a special place for me growing up, that I had attended all the time to learn, to get educated, and to participate. And they have a little bit of lack of funds, so I thought giving back and being a true volunteer and not taking any type of monies or any type of benefit for that. The biggest thing that we have that I see is the quality of life. I champion for police security. We have that in all of our schools coming in September, with Class 3 going in our elementary schools, which are 5. We have an SRO that was pushed, that was between Mayor Fujio and our school district that's going in Copeland Middle School. So that's a big thing from everything that's going on, and it's been something that's been happening in municipalities all around Morris County. Another thing we have is our senior services. I believe we have great senior services. What we can't cover, we have maps that cover through the county other programs. We have Meals on Wheels, and it's doing very well. The other thing is our recreation facilities. That seems to be the biggest thing of discussion that we have. And there is some contentious conversations that take place with that. But with me being in business, my thing is having a plan. I want to put a plan together where there's a master plan and we can accomplish things over phases into reconstruction or revitalizing our recreation areas. Peterson Field is a component of that. Compared to other fields that we have around town, we don't compete with that. However, we need to get something together to do so. Plan accordingly, put money aside, and then actually come up with an idea that we can all agree on and move forward with that, especially a rec center. Many people don't realize that about 40 to 35% of our children in Rockaway Township do not participate in recreational programs. There's 60-65% do, so there's something that we need to accommodate for those. And I think a rec center could potentially do that. Arts and crafts, music, some kind of social groups, gaming groups, those types of things. So we need to address all the children, not just those in recreation, but those who don't participate in those sports programs. The other thing is that recreation facilities, they do bring back a value to our investments. People come to municipalities because of recreation in schools. We do have a great school system, and we also could have a potential great recreational program. We did it once when it came in with Peterson Field back in the 80s, and I think we could kickstart again and get that moving to again enhance that. The other thing we have is fiscal responsibility. That's a huge concern. Shared services to offset some of our costs that we have that don't really kind of attribute to taxpayers. Now, I'm very proud that in 2018 and 2019, the council actually reduced our debt, our budget, I should say, of $1.5 million. Last year was $1 million. This year was $540,000. It's a give back to that. What people don't realize, we have a budget of $39,379,000. We are at a lower budget than we were in 2015. Many people don't realize that. So most of you should have received some type of a reduction in your tax bill, though some of you may have got a reassessment during that time. You may have got an increase, but you got a less of an increase because of that tax reduction that we have. The other thing is we need to attract responsible development within Rockaway Township. We have Miller's Ale House that's in the mall. We have FedEx that just came in over on Green Pond Road. And if we can just continue to do that, where it wouldn't affect our schools and traffic in certain areas in a corridor that we have on Green Pond Road, where there's a potentiality of a Wawa going on Morris and Green Pond. But again, we have to address traffic issues, and we also have to address school issues as well. So the other thing is we have the Bowieville sewer line that Mrs. Garcia had brought up. And that was a project that took place in 1993, which was one of the last sewer mains to be installed in Rockaway Township. Many of you don't realize that you are actually paying for that sewer line installation.
You can finish your sentence.
Okay. And that would be a potentiality of recovering $1 million for that to offset some additional costs to get back to the general fund of the budget. So come this June 4th, please vote for me, and if successful, please vote for me in November as well. Thank you, everybody.
Next is Susan Furman Boyd. Susan is running for council at large for Rockaway Township.
Well, I thought I'd be last, but second to last maybe, but. All right.
Save the best for last.
Yes, I'll take that. I'm not a politician. I was You can't hear me? No. All right, I'm talking to them. That's good. Projecting. I grew up in Birchwood, like I said. I have two older brothers, and I went to county college because I did not know what I wanted to be. So I worked at Warner Lambert right from county college, and I worked my way up to be a junior financial analyst. My husband, sorry, I forgot to mention him. He's from the borough, and we have two daughters, Megan and Molly, and one's 26 and one is 20. One is currently in college, one is out. They attended a school in Rockaway Borough, a Catholic school, where I worked. I first worked as an aide, and then I worked as an in-class support, and then I also was a substitute teacher. And it's much better working with little kids than being up here. But I miss it terribly. I stopped working when my father became ill. And actually, my father was also a councilman many years ago when I was a little girl. He was a good guy, and he wouldn't like what's going on with our council now. He was full of respect and integrity, and me as his daughter, I am the same way. Mike Datchison, who lived down the street from me, he is the one that got me going to council meetings. He said, go see what's happening, blah, blah, blah. So I went, and I couldn't believe it. Then my husband and my daughter signed me up to be the Democratic Committee member, so that got me started. I campaigned for Mikey Sherrill. The women's movement came about. I wanted to be a part of it. I think we need more women involved in government politics, the local, whatever. I just want the council to treat each other with respect and get our taxes lower. That's another reason why. I don't know why. I live in Birchwood. I have a small house, small property. My taxes are like $9,300, and I really don't know why. I just want to get things done. I will work hard. I'm honest. I just don't like the fighting, the disrespect. I just want to make a difference in my local government. So if you can vote for me, I'd appreciate it. I'll work hard.
Next, we have Christine Clark, running for the Assembly in the 26th District.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to step aside from the podium. It's not really my thing. My name's Christine Clark. I'm an environmental advocate, a community volunteer, a grassroots organizer, a mother of 4. And the proud wife of Chris Clark, who seems to have stepped out to call the kids. They've called me twice.
He's over there.
Oh, there he is. Hey, babe. Best decision I ever made, and hopefully this will be the second one. So I am running because as someone who's heavily involved as a volunteer and as an organizer, who's been activated with a new wave of volunteers over the last few years, I've had the privilege or misfortune of looking at my incumbent assemblyperson's records, and I don't feel represented in Trenton. I am currently an advisor to the UN Committee on Sustainable Development. I'll be giving a presentation and a talk on why it's important for people concerned with clean air, clean water, and sustainable development goals to step up and rise for office on May 30th. On our website, clarkforassembly.com, there's information about how to come if you'd like to be there. I am a steering committee member of Jersey Renews, which is a 60-plus organization coalition of groups around the state of New Jersey of all different political persuasions and interest levels in policy, all working together to deal with climate change. And this includes the folks who have union jobs working on the pipelines, who understand that we need a fair and just and safe transition that lifts everyone up together while moving us to renewable energy. I am on the steering committee for the New Jersey March for Science and was able to give the call for marching after our keynote speaker, Congressman Pallone, spoke. And I am on the New Jersey People's Climate Movement Steering Committee. I was on the Environment and Science Council for our senator's re-election campaign because of his high environmental scores. Easy choice there. And my house was a staging location for the Mikey Sherrill campaign. I used to be the environmental director with Action Together New Jersey, and during that time, it was a good exercise in what representation should look like. We did community service projects. We went out and we planted trees. We cleaned up beaches. We did park cleanups. We did active online town halls and engagement so that we would put our senators and our members of Congress live online with a live audience taking questions, regardless of your politics, on the issues and having them answer, because I believe in accountability. And, you know, we moved forward on an agenda that tried to lift everyone up, because a rising tide lifts all boats. Having grown up in Vernon, living in Jefferson for the last 15 years, I love these trees, they're home to me. And I do think that our district has a natural beauty that deserves financing and protection. We need to make sure we restore the Morris Canal. We need to make sure that we have funding for the Highlands Act so we can take care of our communities. And these things and more are things that I want to bring to Trenton. And finally, I stand for empathy. As a mother of 4, I see an absence of empathy in Trenton. We are not taking care of people with their health care. We are not taking care of our seniors. Please, can our retired workers have a cost of living increase? We need to pay our pension obligations. And as a family that lives budget to budget, you know, month to month, like so many families do, I know those tough decisions that you have to make at your kitchen table about what you're going to pay for, or which bill gets short paid so you can take care of another one. And that is not a way for anyone to live in well-financed New Jersey. We pay more taxes than so many other states. We should have the higher quality of living that comes with it, and especially out here. Laura Fortgang and myself are running to bring you new representation. We are looking to be accountable. You can call us and not get blocked on social media. I'm open to town halls, and I love engagement on the issues. You can reach out anytime. My phone number is 973-601-7878. My email address is christine@clarkforassembly.com. It's Clark with an E. My husband did warn me that I would have to spell my last name for the rest of my life. He was not wrong. And I just want to thank you all for being here, including the elected officials and hopefully soon to be elected officials who are sitting in the front row. I'm going to borrow a story that came out of discussing with my husband the activism over the last few years, because, you know, I had told him a couple of years ago I needed to go to the Women's March. It was need. It wasn't want. It wasn't should. It was need. You know, I need to go to this event. I need to go testify to protect the Clean Power Plan. I need to go to the Business Network for Offshore Wind Conference so that I can sit with businesses and find out how we can do a good supply chain of work for New Jersey. By the way, if we move forward on solar, wind, and biofuels, we're looking at 86,000 construction jobs for our state, 58,000 operations jobs, and those are on a 40-year career timescale. Those are jobs that will bring new revenue and new growth into New Jersey, new spending and consumables. 62% of the American economy is consumables. It makes sense to invest in families here. You know, and these are all good things that we can move forward on if we have representatives who act. Our current representatives voted against the Clean Energy Act last year. They vote against equal pay for women. They vote against protecting our health care and making sure that women's health care is safeguarded. They vote against financial education for middle school students. You know, I think that we are sorely needed in Trenton, and one of the things that Laura and I share in common is that we're not afraid of titles. We're not afraid to bring it when we need it. And we would love to represent your views as we go down to Trenton. Check us out at clarkforassembly.com. I would love to hear your questions and hopefully have your support on June 4th and November 5th. Thank you so much.
Assemblyman Jay Weber sends his regrets tonight, but he is currently attending a function for the Battered Women's Program, so that's why he's not here today. I would like to thank everybody who came out, the candidates, the public that came out to listen to the candidates. And now you have some idea. If you have more questions, you can contact them directly. And please exercise your right to vote. That's the most important right that we have, is our right to vote. We have this right because we live in the best country in the whole world.